what is so commonly misconstrued as anxiety in our culture now. And thank goodness for mental health talk. And this is by no means like a knock on that, but it's actually that we don't have enough things to creatively keep our brain busy enough. So that we end up creating all this chatter and all this noise and all this like this energy with nowhere to go because we're not creative enough. And I was like,
wow,
that just broke my brain a little bit.
Okay, I really like
I kind
that,
of like that, right?
So the idea is next time you're feeling anxious, start creating something.
Greetings and welcome back to the Kiss My Aesthetic podcast. I'm so excited to have Colette on the podcast today. Welcome, Colette.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
I'm so excited to have you on because even just before we started recording, we're already so aligned on so many different topics. But for someone who doesn't follow you or doesn't know who you are yet, can you tell us who you are, what you do, and who you help?
Sure. So my name is Colette Peri. I am a photographer specializing in stop motion animation. So I make short form video content for brands that they use on social and their website. And I also help other creatives with stop motion courses online, as well as some business and creativity educational resources, like how to turn your creativity into your full-time job and how to price your work and pitch and all that good stuff.
Well, these are all the topics that we love on this podcast. Obviously, branding, marketing, entrepreneurship. How did you end up as a stop motion artist? That sounds so incredibly niche to someone who doesn't do it, right? Like, is that something you knew like at 8 years old? Like, I'm going to be a stop motion artist. Like, how did you get to here?
Well, I did play around with stop motion when I was in elementary school, but I would use my parents' camcorder and little claymation things that I would create. But that was when I was a kid. And then I didn't think about stop motion for years and years and years until after college. I was at a marketing job right out of school at my desk. And my boss said, I want you to be in charge of our company's Instagram account. And you got to make it really creative. So that was sort of a task on the side of my client work for the job. And I just picked up stop motion one day thinking, what can I do that's creative, and using some items in the office. And I was just shooting stop motion on my phone just for fun. And I had remembered doing it as a kid, but hadn't done it in so many years.
When it comes all right back around. Isn't that funny how like the things that we love as a kid end up weaving their way back into our job? Because as a kid, I'm the oldest of 5 kids in my family. And yes, all girls, oldest one to like 5 kids, 10 years, the whole thing. So I always had a full cast for my theatrical productions. So my role was like, I would write the play, direct the play, write all the lines, get all the costumes. And now it's so funny to be like in a creative director role. And I'm like, oh, this is the same thing. Like,
literally the same.
This is just like we're putting on a production and I'm picking all the variables and I'm telling you what to go and where. So funny how that all comes full circle. Okay, so you're at the job, you're working for this company, you're starting to do stop motion for the Instagram. How does that evolve to where you're at now? Like, how do you go from this company to then having your own studio, doing your own stuff and getting into the education side of things?
Right. Well, it's kind of funny because at the same time, on the side of this job, I was getting more into photography, and I had a hobbyist camera, like a Canon Redbull, and was just shooting on vacation and then sometimes doing friends' portraits or headshots. And I got really into stop motion on my phone. But then one day after work, I thought, well, what if I try making a stop motion with my camera and see if I can make it look better? And I would just go home after work, go to the grocery store, grab random things off the shelf that I thought were cute and colorful, like candy or whatever. And I would make stop motion. And I started posting these videos on my personal Instagram account, as well as still running the company's Instagram account. And it just ended up taking off. Like one video after another, I would get good feedback. And then next thing you knew, someone I went to college with reached out and said, how much do you charge for these stop motion videos? I work at an ad agency and my client needs content like this. So unknowingly, I was just building this little side business in photography and stop motion. And then it wasn't until I left that job to move up to the Bay Area and interview for another full-time job that once I got rejected from that, I decided to give the full-time stop motion photography stuff a whirl. And the rest is history. That was almost 8 years ago.
Yep.
So it was never the plan. It was just like a side hobby that turned into a little gig freelance thing
Sure.
and then became my full-blown career. And because of that, I thought, how frustrating that I would have never seen this path for myself and intentionally taken it because I never saw that as a possibility. So I got very passionate about showing other creatives you can turn your creativity into a career and it can be lucrative and fulfilling and successful.
And if I had to guess, the pandemic was good for business for you.
It was.
Isn't that funny how that works out for all of us creatives that built a little bit of an educational side hustle? Because I had the same kind of situation where people were asking me like, oh, I want to learn brand design from you. Like, will you do a mastermind? Will you do a course? Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, I'm not doing a course, but I'll make a challenge and I'll give you a prompt and you can design a brand and I'll give you feedback. And the first time I hosted it was literally, I think, March of the pandemic. I was like, oh, this will be a fun thing to do when I'm bored. Like 268 people signed up. And I was like, oh no. I was like, I got in over my head. But talk to us about what hosting workshops and hosting educational content, how that makes you better at your day job. Because I noticed for me that like actually writing out my process and writing out and teaching people my process and teaching people where I find inspiration and how I test ideas and how I build mock-ups and things like that, it made me think more critically about my process. And I'm curious if the same has happened for you.
Yeah, that's such a good question that I haven't really thought about much before. But now that you say it, I think what it made me realize is that I'm teaching people how to do this craft and how to get clients. So I'm basically teaching people how to be my competition and realizing
Truly.
I'm not the best person at this out there. There are going to be people that are better than me. And what that makes me realize is it's all about the creative concept, like tapping into that creativity, that inner child, using my imagination. That's the stuff that makes my work mine and someone else's theirs, even if we have the same gear, same process, same editing programs. So I think it just really clarifies what matters most,
right?
Which is the creativity.
Right. And that's such an abundance mindset as well, right? Like I think it's really easy to fall down the trap, especially when we're thinking about social media and thinking about, I'm sure you've seen people that you're like, that's a ripoff of my work. I know because I've followed you forever and I've seen other people start and I'm like, that looks a lot like Colette's stuff. You know what I mean? So I think it's interesting because like we were talking a little bit beforehand. It's like we have this love-hate with social media. In a way, like my business would not have been the same without Instagram and Facebook and all of these tools in the last 11 years I've been running my company. Alternatively, like there can also be a lot of downsides. And if we've learned anything so far in 2025, that like the social media landscape is a disaster and changes rapidly and it's a lot to keep up with. And I don't begrudge business owners or creatives or anyone trying to find that balance with, I need more work, but this is really exhausting, but I want to put my stuff out there, but it's not reaching the eyeballs that I want it to. Talk to us about how you approach boundaries around social, because this is a huge topic right now.
Yeah, it really is. And it is such a love-hate relationship because I have looked at this from a few different perspectives over the years. Like I've tried making it strictly business. Like I will only post from my computer. But then what I learn is it takes the fun out of it. And it takes kind of like the personal inspiration out of it.
The humanness. Yeah.
But then I've gone like full just no boundaries and I just am on it way too much. I am doom scrolling. I'm comparing myself to other people. I see all of those unhealthy things that come from it. And so for the past year, what I've done is limited my social media use to just anytime between 7 a.m. and 5 p.m., I have social media. And between the hours of 5 p.m. and 7 a.m., it is locked on my phone. I do not have access to it. That has been a game changer for me because even when I tried to limit myself and be like, oh, I'll only use it during the workday. No, you come up with an excuse of something you need to look up and then boom, you're scrolling, you're addicted. And it was not until I made these strict boundaries that I was actually obviously forced to follow
Right.
them.
Right.
And then I saw so many beautiful benefits from that. And I now do think of social media as more of a business tool because I only have it during the workday.
Yes.
Like I can't
Yes.
be laying on the couch or in bed scrolling.
Right.
But at the same time, it's on my phone. I'm posting personal stuff. I'm feeling inspired during the day. It's not just a business tool.
Okay, I like this. So I've been asking everyone this on the podcast today. Are you watching Severance?
No. Should
Oh
I
my
be?
God. I can't stop talking about it. But the concept, you know the concept, right?
Truly,
Okay.
I have a 6-month-old baby, so I've been
Fair.
living
That's
under a
fair.
rock.
That's fair.
Can you
That's
catch
fair.
me up?
That's fair. So the concept that the show produced by Ben Stiller, which is interesting. Adam Scott's the lead. The concept is this corporate company can give you this procedure called severance, which it implants a microchip in your brain so that when you're at work, you're only at work, and when you're at home, you're only at home, and they're completely separate. They're
Love.
like two separate lives. So of course, like chaos ensues. And because this corporation, shocker, is evil, shocker, like, right? So they're taking advantage of people and they don't know the work that they're doing. And then they also don't know who they are on the outside. So there's all these dynamics. But when you were describing that, like, oh, when I'm at work, I'm at work. And when I'm home, I'm at home. I was like, oh, this is Severance. I was like,
Wait, I really want to watch it now.
you must. The episode last night, and by the time we're recording this, the episode I watched last night with my neighbor is like season 2, episode 4. And we were screaming at the television. We were like, I have never been that, like, in a long time have I watched a piece of media that was this good. So
Ooh.
it's definitely, people are saying it's like Lost for millennials,
Love.
which is
Okay.
hilarious. So maybe add it to your watch list. It's a slow burn at the beginning, but man, is it good. But I think so many people are resonating with it because I don't think people want their work to be their whole life. I think there was this culture literally since the 60s, nuclear family, like where you were a working person and you worked until you retired. And I think people are like, why am I waiting until I'm 65, 70 years old to like travel and like have work-life balance and see my family and do all of these things? So what has embedding this social media habits into your work life? I've got to imagine by the time it's 5, you're like, oh, done with that. And you can kind of just like chill until 7 a.m. That's kind of nice.
Yeah. I mean, it feels beautiful to not have the option to go on my phone, which obviously I still have access to my phone. But if there's no Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Reddit, all of those, I feel like are what I was drawn to most. If those aren't on it, I'm not really going to be on my phone. I'm a little bit bored. And what comes out of boredom? Well, play, creativity.
Yes.
I've gotten into cooking, baking, embroidery. I read books, so many soul nourishing things that I always knew I wanted to do, but somehow felt like I didn't have time to do them. But we do. It's just nothing can beat out our phones because they're so addictive.
Literally. And they're designed to be addictive. This is just trying to say like, oh, you should just quit cigarettes, right? Like, it's like, no, that's actually designed to be addictive. And there's this whole thing of like, I don't know if you're having this phenomenon, but I used to be able to get on Instagram and like see my friends and see my peers and see colleagues and see people doing interesting things. And there was this really beautiful, I think, era of Instagram of like 2018, 2019. And then it just feels like I go on, I'm like, I didn't even opt in to see any of this junk. These are all sponsored posts. This is all stuff that's like, it already has 200,000 views. Like, where's the people that are just getting started? That's not interesting to me anymore. So it is that thing. And I think we're going to see, I put it even in my trend report that before all the chaos of the TikTok ban is I think that the more that there's AI on a lot of these platforms as well, the more people will be turned off from them and more people will take breaks and more people will back up. And so it's like, okay, what fills that void of like, I want to connect with people that have like-minded things to me, but I'm just not seeking them through my phone anymore.
Exactly. And I think there will be this pushback as well because I read the book Stolen Focus. Have you read that?
No, but I should add it to my list.
It's really good. And what he talks about is it's not enough to just take something away. We can't just take away all our devices.
Exactly.
Like we have to fill that void, like you said. And what is going to fill that are things that naturally give you dopamine, like connection with other people. And also what get you in that state of flow, which is like a relaxation and happy feeling. But I feel like we're so desensitized to that real stuff that it's really hard for us to find joy in something like reading a book because our brains are just now wired to want something more stimulating.
Mm-hmm.
But what I've found is when I've pushed back more and had these boundaries, our brains are malleable, thank God, because
Totally.
we can kind of
Rewire.
retrain them. Yes.
Mhm.
And so now those things are all really, they feel good to do.
They feel good to do and they're fulfilling. I think creatives, like there's this slippery slope that we've fallen into. I think especially with this like post-COVID, monetize everything, monetize all your side hustles, monetize all your passions. That if I'm just crafting for the sake of crafting, I feel like I'm wasting time. So like that was a big thing that I had to get over is like, no, I can just create something for like, and I think that's why I've always been drawn to cooking. You mentioned cooking as well, right? Is because it is creativity that like once you eat it, it's gone. It's like you can't keep selling it 40,000 times, right? Like, and you can actually really do it and be engrossed in it and like celebrate in the making of it, in the process of it, which is so generative for creative business owners. As you've heard me say time and time again on this podcast, what worked in 2024 for social media management is not the same as what's going to cut it in 2025. Platforms are shifting, algorithms are chaotic, and keeping up feels like playing whack-a-mole in the wild, wild west. That's exactly why we made our 2025 social media webinar. This is the deck that we actually sent to our clients. It's 65 slides long. And in the 45-minute webinar, I basically walk you through all the platforms, who owns them, their involvement with the current political administration, what are the pros and cons of each platform, what content performs best, as well as what our team would need for strategy, content creation, and posting and engagement to run the strategy on behalf of your brand. So whether you're a small business owner looking to work with us, or you're also a social media manager or creative just trying to get a better grip of the social media landscape, this is a resource you're going to want to take advantage of. You want to head to our website, mkwcreativeco.com/resources. So mkwcreative.co/resources. This is the 2025 social media webinar. And just for you, I included the one-pager reference guide that we've also sent to our clients to really give you the full menu of options in one big flash sheet. So take advantage of it or hit the link in the show notes to get access to our 2025 social media webinar, because it is wild out there and you shouldn't have to figure it out by yourself. Good luck. Enjoy. I'm curious, like you said, you've kind of picked up these other hobbies. Knowing that you've got that time now set aside to like create without pressure, do you feel like it makes you better at your actual day job?
Definitely. It makes me way more productive during the day too, and way more productive on social media.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like I consume what I need to consume. I post what I need to post because I know there's that limit. It's going to turn off. I'm not like, oh, I'll just do it later once the kids are in bed. I know I have this time limit. And also, yes, it makes me not feel burnt out all the time by constantly being on in my business. I genuinely do feel like when I'm home in the evening and cooking, I'm like, who is this person? Like, it's a new version of me. It's a different side of me.
Yeah. Yeah. It is exciting. And I think it's finding those moments and those opportunities and not being mad at yourself about them. Like, I think a lot of it for me was like the guilt and the shame of like, oh, I should be optimizing, or I should be doing this, or I should be fixing my website, and like getting to the other side of it of like, no, I'm allowed. I tell this to my team all the time, and why it doesn't stick in for me for some reason is beyond me. But it's like, we're not working this hard just to work this hard. Like, we work to live, we don't live to work. Like, there's gotta be in the middle. What other kind of little mantras do you end up falling back on when you are having that kind of like self-doubt or like getting down on yourself or anything like that you're like, wait a second, snap out of it?
Well, one thing that I love to say is the most productive use of your imagination is creativity, and the least productive use of your imagination is anxiety. Because I start to realize, wait a second, I'm using my creativity not for good, not for anything productive, if I'm just sitting here feeling anxious about the work that I'm not doing, or that somebody else is better than me or whatever. And that gives myself grace because I'm like, okay, the reason I'm feeling these things is because I have a creative mind. So I'm like using my imagination and making up all these things, but that's not productive. And so I really try and be conscious of that and use my creativity for good.
Did you see the interview on the Today Show? I think she was a psychologist. It's going to kill me that I can't remember her name. We'll link it in the show notes once I remember. But she was basically putting forward the thesis that excessive amounts of anxiety is actually proof of a lack of creativity. Was her thesis. And that if anxiety and creativity are diametrically opposed, then the way to overcome anxiety is to be more creative.
Ooh,
because
I
you get a
love
sense of
this.
agency and you get confidence from practicing creativity. So the example that she gave the newscasters was like, okay, I'm going to sit with you right now. Like, start planning a dinner party in your head. Pretend you're anxious. Start planning a dinner party in your head. How many people are coming? What are you going to make? Do you have the right plates? Do you have the and like what is so commonly misconstrued as anxiety in our culture now? And thank goodness for mental health talk. And this is by no means like a knock on that, but it's actually that we don't have enough things to creatively keep our brain busy enough, so that we end up creating all this chatter and all this noise and all this like this energy with nowhere to go because we're not creative enough. And I was like,
Wow.
that just broke my brain a little bit.
Okay, I
I was
really
like, I
like
kind
that
of like
though.
that, right?
So the idea is next time you're feeling anxious,
Create
start
something,
creating something.
anything. Create something. If there's an anxiety, but because an anxiety is an expression of a lack of control, right? And I
Mhm.
think women get this, suffer from this disproportionately to men, is that when I feel like I don't know, my clients are going sideways and my dog is driving me nuts and this is happening and I don't have, my car's got problems, da 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 da. How am I going to do this? How am I going to live? Like that anxiety of like feeling like, oh my God, like what proactively can you control, and can you make it something that is a creative outlet, right? And like, can you find your confidence and find your rhythm again with the creativity? So for me, like journaling has been a really big help. And I know that sounds like so corny and everybody's like self-care journal, blah, blah, blah. Like, but it is in a way, like
Yeah.
it's just finding that channel. Or for me, like talking to you about Severance, like I'm realizing, wow, I love watching shows. Actually, I
Uh-huh.
wasn't making time to watch a show, but I love watching a show when everybody else is watching a show, because then I'm part of the culture of the everyone talking about the show. It's like that sense of belonging. So
Yep.
talk to me about what do you think? What's coming to your mind in all of this? Because I'm just babbling at this.
No, I this is so fascinating and honestly so helpful and topical. I
Yeah.
also use journaling when I'm feeling
Okay.
anxious because I find it slows down my brain.
Yes.
Like I have to go only as fast as I can handwrite. But I'm thinking next time I'm feeling super anxious and
Yeah.
that type of anxiety, even that's like in your body. Well, what I've
Mm-hmm.
noticed in the past is, and this is more so the anxiety postpartum. So after I had my
Mm-hmm.
first son, Nico, and after I had Arlo, I realized work is really good for me. And I was kind
Yeah.
of wondering, like the first time postpartum, I thought, no, I want to take off as much work as I can and give myself space. But maybe it's because what you're saying, that when I started working again, it was like something for my brain to do.
Do. Yeah.
And it was creative and something that made me feel like myself. And so that just kind of confirms it for me that yes, if I had a really hard night, stayed up all night with a
Sure.
baby and felt like, how am I going to get through the next day? How am I going to
Right.
survive this? And then I start, okay, well, I have to brainstorm for this client project or I have to make this. It always helped. Like by the end of the day,
Mm-hmm.
I felt like, you know what? I actually feel okay and I'm not very anxious anymore. Versus if I was just like home all day and didn't have anything to do, my mind would
Mm-hmm.
just spin.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm thinking is that I'm going to add this to my toolbox and
Hell
just
yeah.
consciously be like, okay, even if it's not working,
Right.
it's what can I make? I'm going to
Yes.
make a Pinterest collage board about my next month and what I hope it brings, or like
And then
make
it's
a design out of rocks.
for us business owners, it's create without expectation of outcome. That's the thing that I wish I could shake myself 5 years ago and be like, because I got a million ideas a minute. I'm like, oh, I could do this. I could do this. Oh, I should be pitching for this conference and this thing and da da da. And I'm going to do this digital download and da da da. Like, there's no shortage of ideas. Like, for sure, there's plenty of creating, but just create and don't try to like make it a business. Don't try to like monetize it right away. Just let it be what it is. And like, then maybe that'll whittle you down to the thing that actually is the good thing. Or maybe it's just that it just gave your brain a freaking break.
I know it is really hard for me to do
Yeah.
that because when your brand is you
Yes.
and creativity, it's like, I do want to document these things I'm doing and share them
Mm-hmm.
and inspire people. But I agree that there is something so beautiful about doing something just to do it, just to play. And in 2020, I made this challenge called the 11 days of play, where I challenged myself for 11 days in a row to just play and do
Right.
something. But I was sharing what I was
Yeah, you still made
doing,
it into an 11-day challenge.
still made it into a challenge, wanted people to join along with me. And that is something I've learned about myself. Like, I
Right.
even tried doing like 8-day trip with my husband where
Yeah.
we had no social media and no cameras.
Amazing.
And what I learned was that I started like texting my friends stories of what was happening and pictures because I was like, I love to share. And when
Yes.
something happens to me, it feels really good to share. So I'm just thinking out loud
Balance.
here, but I'm like,
No,
yeah, how
totally.
do I bring in more things into my life and really feel no need to share or challenge myself not to share them?
Or create enough boundaries that you know this is for this and this is for me. Like this is for social, this is for connection, this is for talking to my friends, and then this part is just for me. But I mean, professors take sabbaticals. Like that's a totally normal thing to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like you
that's
don't
true.
evolve your research, you don't evolve your craft by just sticking in the hamster wheel every day, right? So that's the one thing that comes to mind. The other thing that comes to mind is one of my good friends, she's planning like the bachelorette party for her sister-in-law, and we started chit-chatting about her bachelorette party. She's not even engaged yet, but like Wid's headed there. But I pitched her, I was like, let's do a like fully analog bachelorette party. No phones, no screens, no computers, no laptops, no iPads, no like records, film cameras. She's like, I would love nothing more than to do that.
Like middle school slumber party vibes.
Yes.
I
But like
love it.
really, truly, like just get rid of all, like tell your family ahead of time, like let everybody know, like we'll have one burner phone that's for emergencies only, but like really, truly go on a whole weekend. Like I put it on my bingo card this year to have 5 tech free days, like not a single stitch of tech. Do I want the whole day? And like, could I do it? Like, it would be hard. It would be a challenge. But like, I'm kind of curious. I'm like, what does this look like for me?
Yes. Okay. First of all, that sounds like the best bachelorette party
Right?
ever. Like everyone who attends without maybe realizing it at first, like that will be the best weekend
I
for them.
agree. I agree.
But also in 2023, I did a screen-free Saturday. So
Did you?
I'm
Okay,
like,
tell me.
the
Tell me, tell
last
me.
time I did that was now 2 years ago. So I plugged my phone in
Uh-huh.
Friday night before
Uh-huh.
bed, and then I did not look at it, touch it, or pull it out of the charger until Sunday morning when I woke up. And I
Impressive.
used no computer, no TV, no screens that whole entire Saturday. And this talk I'm working on about my journey with social media boundaries, this is one of my key stories because that Saturday, my life literally changed.
Oh my gosh. Okay, great. I'm so glad we got here.
Yes. So, first of all, I highly recommend doing it because I
Okay.
don't think there's anybody who wouldn't see like a big shift happen because it, like you
Right.
said, is such a mind blowing concept. Like, how are people going to reach me? What if I need to look up directions for something? What if it's an emergency? Like, there's a
Truly.
million excuses as to why we need to be connected, but we don't. I mean, what did people used to do? Like, you can give someone a heads up,
Yeah,
which is what I did. I
of
told
course.
my mom
Right.
and some family, like, hey, I'm going to do a screen free Saturday. I won't be
Right.
reachable. If you need me, come knock on my
Just
door.
call me on Sunday.
And it was so interesting. One thing that happened was I felt like it was the longest day of my life
Oh, I
because
bet.
I had
Yeah.
so much time. And that Saturday, I was home alone with my son, Nico. He was like a year and a half at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so present with him. I was
Mm-hmm.
interacting with him, talking with him, just so focused on my kid, which as a parent, I think that's a really big struggle is like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm on my phone too much, but I'm trying to coordinate groceries and,
Sure.
tomorrow's
Sure.
childcare, but we can't really help it. But so it was so awesome to have this focused time with him. But then he went down for a nap and he took a 3-hour nap in the middle of the day. That
You're
was
like,
like his routine. So that was the hardest part because then it was
uh-huh.
like, what do I do? First, I
Uh-huh.
like laid on the couch and rested and I felt so relaxed.
Mm-hmm.
Then I was like, okay, there are things like naturally maybe I would do things around the house to make
Sure.
use of my time, but I had made this rule that I wouldn't do housework during naps because I wanted it to be like me time. So I'm
Yeah,
like,
restorative. Yeah.
what do I actually do here? And I noticed a cookbook sitting on this shelf as I was laying on the couch. And I literally just like went and grabbed it and laid back on the couch and just started flipping through it. And we talked about previously how I've gotten into cooking recently, but I'm telling you, before this day, I was notoriously, amongst my friends, horrible in the kitchen, really bad with cooking, meal planning. Like we were a
Mhm.
takeout family because
Mhm.
takeout just seemed easier. And I didn't ever understand how people had time to cook
Right.
or like where they learned how to do it.
Right.
It was like a foreign thing to me. But I've always thought people who cook are really cool and I've envied them. So I'm just reading this cookbook. And then I had the idea of, oh my gosh, maybe once Nico wakes up from his nap, we'll go to the grocery store and get some groceries and then I'll make a recipe.
Mhm.
And of course, I had to handwrite a grocery
Uh-huh.
list and
Uh-huh.
bring a piece of paper and a pencil to the grocery store and like cross off each thing, which was so cool. I don't know. It just
It is
felt
cool. It is cool because it feels like uncomplicated. Like
right.
and I love tech. I love my Apple Watch. I love my tech. I love my podcast setup. I love podcasts in general. But like, yeah, walking my dog for an hour and a half for a while, I was like, I need to stop putting other people's voices in my ears. And
Yeah,
I walked for a while where I'm not on a phone call and I don't have a podcast on. And you have a different relationship with yourself when you cut out the noise and you cut
totally.
out the outside influence. And you're like, how do I actually feel? What do I actually think? So I got to
Yeah.
imagine that happened for you in the cooking experience.
Yes, absolutely. And I got home from the grocery store. My husband was home from work. We put our baby down. And then I was like so excited to cook because I didn't have anything else to do. Like we couldn't
Yeah.
watch a TV show. I told him, like, you can't put the TV on because
Right.
this is my challenge today.
Right.
And so I cooked and we ate the meal and it was really good. And it literally unlocked a new passion for me, which is
Mm-hmm.
now cooking. I now
Cooking.
cook like 3 or 4 recipes a week. I love it. It's creative. It's meditative.
Mm-hmm.
It's part of my life. And it made me realize, oh my gosh, I'm not going to be a tech free person because I don't want to be and it's
Right.
not feasible.
Right.
But if I gave myself the opportunity to be bored again, what other passion might I unlock?
And can I better serve all the people in my life when I give myself a break? I think about this
Yes.
too is like a lot of what we're talking about, like we're in a position where I think there's also, I mean, for myself, there's a lot of privilege in this too, right? Of like, I'm able to look at my life and kind of audit it in this way to be like, okay, I worked really hard for the last 10 years, really hard, like to the point concerning amount of hard. But I don't want to sustain like that anymore. And what a privilege it is to like have this inflection period at like I'm 31 to be like, wait, actually, what does my ideal life actually look like? Because if I am more balanced with my work and I am more balanced with the people in my life that are important to me and I am taking the time to cook, can I go out and volunteer? Like, can I go pay it forward? Can I spend the time that I'm on social media not falling down a rabbit hole, but actually like learning about causes that I care? Do you know what I mean? Like, there's
Totally.
that part of it too, is like we can't pour from an empty cup. So if we're going to let ourselves get so consumed by the business and the posting and the reach and the this and the that, like you're actually also handicapping yourself in every other facet of your life
Hmm.
because there's no balance.
You're right. And it's proven that something that makes people happy is serving others and
Totally.
helping other people.
Totally.
Whereas
Totally.
something that makes people depressed is being on their devices and
Isolated.
being lonely and isolated. And that's just like the track everyone's going on, and it's wrong.
It is, but also we had that. Like there was there was a very real moment on Instagram where you could have community, and it's still there.
Yeah.
It's still lurking in the background, but there was a very real like, oh no, these are my people. Like these are the people that like they like the things that I like and they like what I do, and I felt that on TikTok immensely. It's like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
here's a whole bunch of people I never knew. Like so there are those redeeming social qualities, and not to say it has to be all one way or all the other, but I think what we're missing is like I didn't grow up knowing any of my neighbors. I am so passionate about knowing my neighbors now and like
Yes.
inviting them over and baking them banana bread and like doing because I was like, wait, this is so important to me now. This is so much more
Hmm.
important to me than I thought it could have been. But I think it is that shift in the culture. And I hope that the shift in the culture is going away from this individualistic me, mine, and towards us, ours.
Hmm.
It's hard to say so from the last month that's just happened and everything happening in the
Right.
news, but like I think the creative community particularly has the capability and the desire to want to make that happen. Do you agree with that?
Yes, totally. And I heard on a podcast recently, someone said, it's like, I have a million online friends, but
Yes.
nobody to feed my dog when I'm out of town.
Yes. Or drive me to the airport. Yes.
Yes. And that's what you're talking about. And that is one of the biggest indicators of happiness is your in-person, in real life community, your next door neighbor, the person at the coffee shop, those like little small connections that we all lost during COVID. Like those
People
are
at the
indicators for
gym.
happiness.
Oh my gosh, I've joined a CrossFit gym in the last year, and like just being able to go to the gym and have people that like it doesn't matter what they do for work. It doesn't matter if we're the same age. It doesn't matter if we're make the same amount of like it's so disparate, but like there's someone that's there to be like, "Oh, crazy weather we're having. Yep, see you tomorrow." And especially when you're creative and you work for yourself, I'm like, "Oh, I've never had water cooler talk. I've
I
never been
know.
part of that culture." Like that's crazy. And like there are redeeming qualities to that. Like it is that sense of belonging to this in group that is so like deeply embedded in our psyche.
Yeah. And I agree we do get community through social media.
Right.
I agree it's not as prevalent anymore now that the algorithm shows us people we don't know.
Yes.
But it's so different when it's in person and it's so much more like soul fulfilling. I don't know. It's different and it's special and it's real and like tangible, those interactions. And I think maybe I'm thinking that they're even more special because they're just so much more rare now.
Yes.
But I, like you, am making a big effort to have more of them and bring more of that into my life.
Okay, well, you're going on some public speaking stuff coming up. So you got to plug yourself at least for those because I feel like now I want to go meet you in person and give you a hug.
Oh, I know. I want to too.
Right?
I want to be your neighbor. You make banana bread for your neighbors?
I make a lot of food. Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm inspired. I want to do that.
Oh, good.
So I am working on a virtual talk and challenge that I'm then going to hopefully give in person as well at conferences and events. But it's going to be all about how to put down your phone and spend less time on your phone so that you can spend more time on creative hobbies and endeavors and things that really bring us joy. And hopefully it'll be ready by the end of February, but I'm still workshopping it with my speaking agent. And it's a topic that, while it is connected to my job very much, because I think a lot of people who need this are people like us who are creatives, and we cannot quit social media because we get so many positives from it, including like fueling our careers. But I think setting boundaries is the best and only answer for us. And so I really want to have people come along in this challenge with me, set up the boundaries on their phones like I have, where I mean, for me, like I said, it's 5 p.m. to 7 a.m., no social. Everyone might have it look different. And then work on, okay, how do I fill that void? I have this free time. What things do I want to add in? What do I want to try? And then reflect, like, how has my life changed? How do I feel day to day when I don't spend so much time on my phone? And I've already had a few friends kind of test this out, and they are texting me like, oh my God, I'm obsessed. My life has changed. And I'm really excited about this.
No, it's super exciting. I'm so here for it. I'm so here for the boundaries. I'm so here for the like creating those stop gaps for yourself, because just like anything, like you can't ever truly quit something cold turkey without there being some kind of effect on the backside, right?
True.
So finding a way to make social media work for us again and not against us and not against our mental health, I think is such a worthy topic and something that I think everyone who listens to this podcast is going to definitely relate to.
Yeah. Well, thank you for talking about it so much with me. I loved all of the insights that you gave.
Of course. Well, where can everyone find you, follow you, stay up to date between the hours of 7 and 5?
Yes. On Instagram, I'm Colette.Peri, COLETTE.PERI. And then ColettePeri.com is my website. And feel free to send me a message. I won't reply if it's in the evening or early morning. But I love talking about this stuff. And ColettePeri.com/balance has an email list where you can add your email and get first an email that gives you my favorite book and podcast episode on this topic. But then that's where I'll be announcing like the talk when it's ready and the challenge. So if you're interested in this topic, go to ColettePeri.com/balance and hopefully we can all kind of improve our lives together.
Well, you'll have to link this little podcast episode in that welcome email, girl, because this is like,
honestly,
this covers the whole thing, doesn't it?
This is the first time I've talked about most of this publicly. So yeah,
Amazing.
I'm really happy to be chatting about it.
Well, we so appreciate it. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Don't forget to give Colette a follow and DM her between the hours of 7 and 5. and stay tuned for more on this topic, because this is a personal curiosity of mine. We barely talked about stop motion and your amazing photography, which is there as well. But I think people can see that. So this is so fun. Thank you so much for your time, Colette. We'll catch you guys next time.
Thank you so much for having me.
Bye.